this, so the Jacksonville coaching job is a good job. You've got an
Yeah.
owner that gives you space to do what you got to do. He's not a meddling fool like Dan Snyder and some of the other ones out there that micromanage you to death that don't have a good front office infrastructure. I think that as long as you can find a coach, and who knows, maybe that coach is in college that they could be looking at. But I think the Jacksonville job would be a great job if you can get it. I really believe that. You know, Shad Khan has proven to give his guys space to work. And, you know, you're right. I mean, maybe they'll go give him one more year. It's either you make the playoffs or you're out of here. I mean, you know, I think Jason Garrett essentially has that as well. But Shad Khan doesn't meddle in anybody else's business. He really doesn't. He gives them space to work. He's a great businessman. More power to him. I think he's quietly one of the better owners out there in pro football. I really, really believe that he is. But obviously, in a small market like Jacksonville, that they haven't won a lot lately, you know, a lot of people might question me on that, but that's what I think. But
I agree. I agree with you.
But that's a great job. You know.
I think that when you look at it, because I know that people are gonna, you know, it's 10 days from now, so 11 days from now is the end of the season, and people are going to look at this team and say, okay, what does it have? You know, because at the end of the day, there are going to be players that are going to move. You know, they're not going to be able to re-sign everybody, but they're going to look at this job and say, okay, I got two serviceable quarterbacks. Whether I decide I want to bring in another one, I have to think about that. I have a talented young receiver in DJ Chark. I don't know whether I'm going to keep Chris Conley because although he's approaching 50 catches, maybe he's not giving us what he should, and we can find somebody that's better in the draft. Uh, they have a good running back in Leonard Fournette, and now it remains to be seen whether Fournette will stay whether they pick up a fifth-year option and whether he'll stay. On defense, you have two solid pass rushers. By the way, Yannick Ngakoue now gets paid.
Right.
After that, because Coughlin I can tell you right now, Coughlin was going to pay Yannick Ngakoue. I really believe that. But I also believe this, and this makes a lot of sense. Let's fast forward a little bit. If all things being considered equal, if Tom Coughlin wasn't the executive vice president of the Jaguars, Jalen Ramsey and Allen Robinson would still be here. If that is the case, Yannick Ngakoue doesn't get re-signed, and there are players in the middle who get shuffled around like a jigsaw puzzle. Calais Campbell is probably gone for sure because it was Caldwell who signed Calais. Tom Coughlin had nothing to do with the original contract. So there are a lot of variables there. This team might actually be better now without Coughlin here this year, but it still affects the ultimate outcome of what happens, next year and the year after that, because you would still have a quarterback dilemma. Even if Tom Coughlin isn't here, you're signing Nick Foles. Blake Bortles isn't here anymore. There's just so many dimensions. So you look at this team and you say, I've got these variables and these pieces on the deck right now. I've got great pass rushers. I've got a good right tackle. I've got two good quarterbacks. I have a running back and I have a wide receiver to build around. And I have serviceable safeties. The linebackers are a little questionable. Do I want this job? And if I do, what are the parameters I have to go with it?
Right.
It's maybe the third or fourth most attractive job on the market. Depends on what is open. Because if Freddie Kitchens is gone, Cleveland still becomes the most interesting job out there. Carolina is still an interesting job, but Cam Newton's not going to be there anymore. Washington, no. Denver, maybe. The New York Jets, that's a disaster. That's a dumpster fire. The New York Giants, yeah, it's an interesting job. And I think that's probably the number one job, which means Rivera may wind up there too. You have to decide what kind of coach you want to fit the personality of the teams.
Right.
So who would you take? I'm asking you, Scott. If you didn't have Rivera, who are you targeting number one to be the guy, the one that's constantly in front of the camera?
You know what? In this particular case, I think there's a good high-profile college coach that should take this job. If I were looking for a dream candidate for that job, I would be knocking on Urban Meyer's door.
I knew you were going to say that.
You did, huh? Why not? The guy has Florida roots anyhow, and you know.
I'll tell you why it fails.
Okay.
Because granted, he's a good coach, and don't get me wrong, but Urban Meyer doesn't want to put in the effort, similar to Steve Spurrier, of making it work in the NFL, because Urban Meyer only had to put in 8 or 9 hours a day behind a desk or watching film study, and then he could go home to his family. He's not willing to put in the 15, 16 hours a day to make it work. And Steve Spurrier didn't like the idea of having to work long hours because he wanted to play golf. And he called Daniel Snyder from a golf course and said, you know what, I'm done. And I'm not saying the offense itself wouldn't work. I'm talking about the fact that he would get tired of the work ethic.
Right.
Because head coaches that are really successful work 15, 16, 17 hours. John Gruden lives at the stadium. There's a reason why they're becoming successful.
Right.
Those coaches eat, sleep, and breathe it. And that's why it wouldn't work. Plus, there's still a residual from the fact that there were 30 arrests in 27 months in Gainesville, and people around here remember that.
Yeah, but you know what? I will say this about Urban Meyer. I said he's a guy I'd like to see go there. Doesn't mean I expected him to go there.
True.
I mean, so I want to just make sure I preface that the way that I'm doing it. I mean, but I think he'd be a very popular choice of the area. He's not afraid to get in front of a camera. Oh, can't you see the guy on Fox college coverage? This guy isn't afraid to talk to people. He's good at it, but he doesn't have to worry about recruiting violations because everybody else is getting the players unless he's able to get a position where he has more control over the personnel. So, I mean, wherever he's left, who's to say there hasn't been a scandal or two behind him? You don't have scandals in the NFL. Well, not those kind.
There's scandals that they're very well covered up unless the Players Association says that you're finding players
right.
too much.
Yeah, but that situation there right now, I do believe that that situation was a PR disaster for Jacksonville, and that Shad Khan was looking to rid himself and get rid of it right then and there and try to change that perception right away. I still think that Shad Khan is a heck of an owner. I really do.
If we're going to go, I'm going to jump into this a little bit with you. If we're going to go into the college route, let's just, we talk about that for a few minutes. And you can Coughlin's gone. Let's say Caldwell stays and Marone is gone. And you want some new blood, and you want some excitement and whatnot. I'm going to go knock on Jim Harbaugh's door because he's been in the NFL and he took the 49ers to the Super Bowl. I'm also going to go knock on David Shaw's door, who is the head coach at Stanford, who has NFL experience, and he wants to do it. And then I'm going to go knock on Herm Edwards' door at Arizona State. And although Herm is a little bit older, I think that the Tony Dungy style of coaching is something that the Jaguar fans could get behind. I don't think Dungy would ever come back and coach. But I think if Herm Edwards was enticed a little bit, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he took a shot at the NFL again. And then there's the other guys you talk about. Matt Rule, who's at Baylor, who actually got a Coughlin disciple, so maybe that knocks him out of the running. But he's a name to watch, There are other coaches out there that I'm sure that they may take a swing at it at some point. The guy from, his name escapes me, Northwestern.
Oh, Pat Fitzgerald. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
He's a guy that I could see making the jump, who I like him. But I agree with you. It's, they're going to need to inject some sort of new energy into the league.
Yeah, I don't see Pat Fitzgerald. Herm Edwards is a very intriguing possibility. I knew you were going to mention Jim Harbaugh. I knew it.
Well, okay,
Then again, I've been working with you for a while. I ought to know what you're thinking by now, Levin.
But I just thought, if there's ever a time that Jim Harbaugh is going to make the jump to the NFL, it's probably now after. I mean, he can't beat Ohio State. It's that simple. And that's, unfortunately, that's going to be his downfall. Yeah,
but he's getting paid a heck of a lot of dough up at Michigan. I think he's getting paid $7-8 million to coach in college. Yeah. Why would you want to give up a secure position in college, let alone one of University of Michigan, to take this job? Not that he would not listen, but he's turned down a lot of NFL overtures over the years that might have been better jobs than this one, and chosen not to do it. But Herman Edwards, yeah.
I think it's what you said, Scott, though, that this organization is run well, or at least the ownership is good ownership. And I know there are people out there that don't like Shad Khan. And it's evident by what you read on social media. There are a lot of people around here that are mad at Shad Khan firing Tom Coughlin tonight. That it's the players that screwed this up. That they're overpaid and they're entitled and all this thing. And Coughlin brought an old school football feeling back to Jacksonville. The old school feeling Jacksonville failed. Khan finally decided he had to make a change. I think that the organization itself has run well. I think that because it makes money every year and the team has become more lucrative since he took it over. He doesn't micromanage. He's not like Jerry Jones. He's not like Dan Snyder. He's not like the Chargers owners, the Spanos. He pays people to coach football games. He pays people to take care of a football team with his auto parts stores. He pays people to take care of his businesses. That's a smart owner. And he finds the people that are supposed to handle those situations. Mark Lamping was a baseball guy. He was the president of the St. Louis Cardinals, and he brought him in to run a football team. He knew he could identify people in management to manage his business dealings. That's what makes this team successful.
Okay. All right. Well, we got a few more minutes to go here, David. So let's talk a little bit more in detail about Sunday's game between the Falcons and the Jaguars. What do you expect going into it? And we'll let you go out on a limb to make a prediction in this game.
All right. Well, first of all, we miss Lewis. Let's just add that in there that we do miss Lewis because he's not in here on the picks. But I do know that until about 5 o'clock tonight, I thought the Falcons were winning this game, and now I'm almost guaranteed the Jaguars will. Something about a more relaxed atmosphere this week. I bet that the practices are a little more spirited tomorrow. I bet the players will have a little more pep in their step. I think that there's going to be a little bit more exhale at the stadium tomorrow. I still think it's a close game. Matt Ryan is a great quarterback. Dan Quinn is fighting for his job as well. But after watching Minshew just do his thing, I'm going to say Jaguars 26-23.
And I went on with our fantasy show, and I actually think the Falcons will win at 16-13.
Really? I can see it. I'm being the realist of spoiling the apple cart.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, though, Dan Quinn can finish relatively strong. Would he be out of a job? I don't know. That'll be an interesting call at the end. But as far as I'm concerned, I still thought this was the unemployment bowl. There's still another script or two to be written over the next 2 weeks to find out if these jobs are salvageable. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it's a very intriguing possibility. But,
I got a quick question.
What's that?
Because it just popped in my head. I'm sorry.
Sure.
If both coaches get fired, Dan Quinn and Doug Marrone, which one gets hired first after they get fired to be a position coach?
I think they I like Dan Quinn. I really do.
Yeah, I was going to say Dan Quinn will get hired first.
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, well, first of all, my question to you is how many more years does Doug Marrone have on his contract in Jacksonville?
21. It's both he and Caldwell is through 21.
So
I'm gonna say that right now on the radio because we're on tape.
Right.
I'm going to predict that Caldwell and Marrone get one more year because they are under contracts to 21, and I'm going to say that Khan wants to see what these two can do together if they bring in another replacement for Coughlin. Maybe they don't, and that Dave Caldwell gets more autonomy. And let's see what these two guys can do together.
Well, that's probably the reason he saves his job, if he does it all. I mean, I think Jacksonville should just make a clean break and just to get rid of everybody. But that's not my decision. It's theirs. But the reality is Doug Marrone will be able to feed his family no matter what the next 2 years, because in 2021 he's getting a paycheck anyhow. The last thing owners want to do is pay guys money that when they're not working. So there might be a financial element to that as well. So, but
I think that's a Chip Kelly factor in everything. Remember, he wasn't fired, and he's making money for 3 different teams at one point.
Well, we got to sit.